What's going on, my fly tying freaks? Jesse Mails here, coming at you in my home studio in partnership with my good friends at MaraboutBrothers.com, your premium feather solution for all your fly tying needs. Now today, we're starting lesson 1 of a 12-part series where I'm going to show you everything currently in my inshore saltwater box.
That looks pretty solid.
We're talking redfish flies, trout flies, baby tarpon flies, and snook flies. Maybe a few bonefish ones in there. We'll see how it goes. But listen, we're not going to be tying a whole bunch of super technical flies, okay? If you're here to see the hardest fly to tie, this is not your spot, okay? Now, if you want to sit back, have some coffee, and chill the hell out while we tie some practical flies for your fly box, then tune on in, because that's what's about to happen. Alright guys, so fly number 1 is going to be a barred baitfish pattern. Now, the thing about this pattern is instead of using a Sharpie marker or something to bar the tail on this baitfish, we're going to palmer Marabou that's already pre-barred to give it that barring effect. You can tie this in a bunch of different colors, but today we're going to be tying it in white, and that allows us to throw it on the beach if we're looking at snook, or to go in the backcountry and throw it there for redfish. So let's get started. For thread, we're going to be using a 210 flat wax nylon, and we have a 1/0 SC15 hook, and we're just going to put kind of a thin thread base back and forth right down the shank of that hook. For the tail on this fly, we're going to use a small piece of bunny strip. Okay, we're also going to use some bunny strip here to create a little hot spot on the back of the fly. Okay. Now, first thing, to keep that bunny strip in place, we're going to use a small piece of 50-pound fluoro, and we're just going to make a small loop at the base of the fly, okay? Once you have this locked in, we're going to go ahead and trim it off, and just cinch that down a little more. Now, because this is going to be mainly a redfish and snook pattern and not a tarpon fly, it's okay to tie this zonker strip in with the furry side up. On a lot of tarpon patterns, you're going to see it tied downward, and that's because most of the fish that are going to be eating a tarpon fly are going to be looking at it from the bottom, because tarpon love to feed up. Now, if you're just one of those people that has to tie this in that way, go ahead and do it. Don't worry about it, okay? But we're going to tie this in with the furry side up and just place that zonker strip right on top of that loop and lock it in just like that. And we're back in business. Now, for the hot spot on this fly, or the belly of the baitfish rather, we're going to take just a little bit of this pink rabbit, and we're going to trim just a little pinch of this off, okay? Just like that. And now all we have is this little poof, but believe it or not, that's going to be seen pretty easily once this whole fly is wet and in the water. So what we can do here is just flip this over, make some basic loops there, and secure that right into the belly of the fly. It does not take much for these hot spots, so don't think you got to put a ton of color down there. You can see how that just stands out right there. So the next thing we're going to add is the Marabou. Now, we can tie this in backwards like this over it, but it's really not going to perform the way we want it. We want this to cover all sides of the fly, okay? So we're going to want to palmer this feather around the shank. So what you'll do is you'll take your barred Marabou, trim the base off just like that, and then we'll take this and we'll tie it right in front. At this point, you can grab the top of the feather and be sure to pull all these feathers backwards like this as you palmer this around. We'll palmer this right around the hook shank just a few times. Cover that up and lock it in place. So you can see here we have a ton of this barred Marabou going back, covering all sides of the fly, and now it's actually looking really similar to a classic tarpon pattern. You see a lot of tarpon flies tied with these first steps, and it's really the front of this fly that's going to switch it up for us and really turn it into a nice baitfish pattern. Alright guys, before we continue, we're going to take a coffee break, and I want to say, if you guys are new to fly tying, or maybe you've been tying flies a lot and you just have questions like, Jesse, why do you suck at fly tying, or how come you're doing it this way, blah blah blah, or even if you just have questions about fishing in general, like how you would fish this pattern or where you would fish this pattern, leave it in the comment section below and I'll answer all those questions. If for episode 2 you guys want me to tie a specific type of fly, we'll say crab, shrimp, bait fish, leave that in the comment section below too. I have all of those in this box, and we just want to know which ones you guys want to see. So leave a comment below, and let's continue. Alright, so now we have the body of this fly tied, and we're going to build up the head of this fly using one of my favorite materials ever, which is pearl ice dub. Now, ice dub can be applied a bunch of different ways, okay? You can really make a dubbing loop if you wanted to and just dub the whole head, but I'm going to take this and just make small pinches and tie it into the shank. If you've followed my YouTube, you've seen me do this countless times, okay? Now all you do is take a small pinch, put it on top, tie that in, okay? Fold that excess back and secure that. Now these first wraps, I really do top and bottom here, okay? And as we move forward, what we're going to end up doing is moving these all the way around the shank, but these first two really just cover up the belly and what would be the top side or the back of this baitfish fly. Okay, now we're going to go for another pinch and make these next two a little bit beefier than those first ones. Okay, what you want to do is set them onto the hook shank and mold them all the way around 360. Pinch that one off like that, few wraps, and then fold these back in that same manner, going all different sides of the hook shank. Okay. Alright, straighten out these fibers. Go ahead and put that on there and mold it all the way around the hook shank, going all the way to the eye of the hook. Fold these back and around and tie that off. So now our ice dub is going all the way to the front of the fly. Make a small head on the fly, and there you go. That's really the body of this fly. Now we're going to whip finish. I find one whip finish to be enough. We're going to put glue on this head as well, so that's going to be perfect right there. You can go ahead and use your scissors here to just pluck out some of these fibers and make sure we're not trapping any of those ice dub fibers down. Alright, now this fly is looking pretty good. You can see that barring is in the center of the fly, and we're going to go ahead and add some eyes to this. Now I prefer these super pearl eyes that I got a long time ago, and they just look really good isolated against this ice dub. Take an eye off, put a little bit of glue on here, lock it in. Do the same for the other eye. Now that's looking really good. There's no doubt a snook or a redfish is going to eat this thing up. Alright guys, time for coffee break number 2. If you weren't paying attention during the first break, one second. Go ahead and leave a comment in the video. Let me know what type of saltwater fly you want me to cover next out of my box, okay? We're talking baitfish, we're talking shrimp, crabs, gurglers. Let me know. They're all going to be covered, but I want to know which ones you guys want to see first. Also, if you're new to fly fishing or fly tying and you just have general questions, leave them there too. There'll be time in the next episode for me to run through those with you guys, okay? Well, let's get back to tying this fly. So the last thing we're going to do on this fly is something you see me do in a lot of my other videos, and some you see other fly tyers do, and that's put glue or some sort of head cement over these thread wraps so the fly doesn't come apart while we're fishing. Now I know that sounds basic, but for you guys out there that haven't tied a lot of flies, that might be some critical information for you to hear. So what I like to use is Loon UV Thick, and we're just going to go ahead and cover up the thread on this fly and then use UV light to zap it. Alright, there you go, that's covered up. We'll take our UV light and make sure this hardens up. Alright, there it is. Not a bad bug. Alright, well there you have it guys, an awesome baitfish fly for inshore saltwater purposes. Just a few steps, nothing crazy, but it gives us an awesome profile to target snook, redfish, baby tarpon, sea trout, you name it. Remember, leave comments in the comment section. Let me know what flies you want me to cover next, and we'll get to them. If you have general questions, leave those questions in the comment section as well. It could be fly fishing, it could be fly tying, but don't leave them unanswered. So drop a comment down there, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing those. And until next time, stay tight.